he didn't stop at hacking a phone. Prosecutors say that when a target kept his Bitcoin in a hardware wallet, Marlon Ferro's crew changed the plan and sent a burglar to the man's house. Not just phishing, not just SIM swaps. A cyber theft case that allegedly ended with broken glass. By the time Marlon Ferro, known online as GothFerrari, was sentenced in 2026, federal prosecutors had described something uglier than a normal crypto scam. They said this crew treated digital fraud and street crime like parts of the same machine. A text message, a stolen identity, a carrier account reset. Then, if the coins stayed offline, a real address, a real door, a real victim. And what gets me about this case is how modern it feels. People talk about cybercrime as if it lives behind screens. This one allegedly walked up the driveway. The government's case tied Ferro to a conspiracy that targeted cryptocurrency holders through social engineering, account takeovers, and theft. In court filings and reporting on the sentencing, the detail that stands out is the pivot. When a hardware wallet blocked the easy digital exit, the conspiracy allegedly shifted into home burglary to steal the device itself. That is the hinge of this whole story. Because a hardware wallet is supposed to do one thing very well: keep your private keys offline, away from remote thieves. In plain English, it's the safe instead of the cash register. So what happens when the robber can't open the safe through the internet? According to prosecutors, in at least one instance, the answer was brutally simple. They went to the safe. So let me ask you early, when a cybercrime crew crosses into a victim's home, do you still see it as a tech case? Or does it become something closer to organized robbery? I want your take in the comments. Start with the first layer: social engineering. That means manipulating people or service desks into handing over access they should never hand over. In crypto theft cases, that can mean convincing a mobile carrier to transfer a phone number, or using stolen personal data to reset accounts connected to exchanges and wallets. You don't need malware in every case. Sometimes you just need a convincing voice, a bit of leaked data, and a victim who doesn't know the attack has already started. Reports on this crew describe exactly that kind of pipeline. Personal information was allegedly abused to get control over phone-based authentication. Once a number moved, password resets became easier. Once accounts opened, digital assets could move fast. Fast enough that victims often realized what happened only after login alerts, account lockouts, or drained balances. But this case becomes different at the point where the digital method stops working. A victim can reset a password. A carrier can reverse a transfer. An exchange can freeze an account if it catches movement in time. A hardware wallet is another problem. It keeps the keys off the network. No remote reset, no easy support call, no cloud panel to hijack. For a thief, that tiny plastic device is a wall. And when I read through coverage of the case, that was the part that stayed with me. The wall didn't end the conspiracy. It allegedly changed its shape. According to prosecutors, when the offline wallet got in the way, the crew allegedly sent a man to a victim's residence to steal it. That single allegation tells you almost everything about the operating logic here. This wasn't just online fraud with occasional chaos around the edges. It was a pipeline. If one route closed, another opened. Think about how cold that is. A stolen database record becomes becomes a home address. A home address becomes surveillance. Surveillance becomes a smashed window. The abstraction becomes a room in somebody's house. That's the sensory bridge people miss when they hear crypto theft. It sounds weightless, invisible. A number goes from one wallet to another. But in cases like this, the consequences stop being abstract very quickly. Someone has to look at a broken frame. Someone has to explain to family why strangers targeted their home. Someone has to live with the idea that a digital profile led a criminal right to the front door. And that is why, in my view, this case matters beyond the dollar amount. It shows that the weak point in a crypto security plan may not be the software at all. It may be the bridge between your identity, your phone number, and your physical location. People spend thousands on cold storage and still leave a trail of personal data loose enough for criminals to map their lives. What would you protect first if you held serious crypto? The wallet? The phone account? Your home address? Most people pick the obvious object and ignore the chain around it. Urgent. Federal authorities spent years untangling crews like this because the evidence doesn't sit in one place. Some of it lives in device records, some in telecom logs, some in exchange data, some in surveillance footage, some in messages between conspirators. That's one reason these cases can feel slow in public and very dense in court. By the time sentencing happens, prosecutors are not telling a single theft story. They are trying to show a system. In Ferro's case, the sentencing in 2026 put a formal endpoint on at least one chapter. But the case also highlighted a broader pattern law enforcement has been chasing for years. Crypto-enabled theft crews that don't respect the old line between online and offline crime. They move where the friction is lowest. And if the friction rises, they allegedly change tools. If that jump from a phone takeover to a smashed window hit you as hard as it hit me when I read the case details, leave a like. Cases like this deserve to be understood for what they really are. There's another layer here that makes the story even darker. Hardware wallets became popular because they were supposed to solve the exact fear that haunts every crypto holder: remote theft. Keep the keys offline and the internet can't reach them. True, but the internet can still identify who might own one. That's the trap. A secure device can protect the keys, while leaks, social engineering, or account abuse expose the owner. Security becomes uneven. Strong vault, weak perimeter. That mismatch is where this conspiracy allegedly found room to operate. And here's the turn that makes this more than a simple sentencing recap. The hardware wallet did its job. It appears to have blocked the clean remote theft. The security tool worked. The victim still allegedly got targeted in the physical world. That means the success of the defense may have triggered the escalation. Sit with that for a second. The thing designed to stop cybercrime may have pushed the criminals into burglary instead. Not because the wallet failed, but because it forced the conspiracy to reveal what it really was. If you like understanding how these crimes evolve when one layer of security holds, subscribe. I cover a new true crime tech case here every week, and the real story is usually hiding in the pivot. That pivot is the thesis of this case. Ferro's crew, according to prosecutors, allegedly treated identity theft, telecom manipulation, account access, surveillance, and burglary as one continuous workflow, not separate crimes. one workflow, like moving through checkpoints. And that should worry people far beyond crypto circles, because this model scales. Anywhere a digital identity points to a physical asset, the same logic can appear. High-end electronics, payment devices, luxury goods, sensitive records. The target is not just the account. The target is the person attached to it. I also think this case is a warning about how we talk about cyber, as if it's automatically remote. It isn't. Sometimes cybercrime is just reconnaissance for the next step. The keyboard is the scouting vehicle. The real harm shows up later, under porch light. So what changed after cases like this? More pressure on carriers over account transfer controls. More pressure on crypto holders to reduce public exposure. More awareness that two-factor authentication tied to a phone number can be a soft spot. And a harder conversation about privacy itself. Because if criminals can connect your number, your identity, and your address, then the attack surface is not your laptop. It's your life. A lot of viewers hear a story like this and picture a reckless victim, somebody waving wealth around online. Sometimes that happens, but that explanation is too easy. Data leaks, reused personal details, exposed customer information, and weak carrier procedures can put ordinary people on the board without their consent. That matters, because the victim in a case like this doesn't just lose coins. He may lose the one thing cybercrime stories usually leave untouched: the feeling that home is separate from the network. And that's the image I can't shake. Not a blockchain explorer, not a login screen. A dark house after the glass is already broken. By 2026, the sentencing gave the case a legal milestone, but the legacy is larger than one defendant. It's a reminder that modern theft crews can treat online access and physical intrusion as the same operation, just different rooms in the same building. How many people still think offline means untouchable? How many companies still treat identity abuse as customer service fraud instead of the first act of a robbery? How many victims never imagined their phone number could become a roadmap to their front door? If true crime tech fascinates you, subscribe and turn on the bell. Around here, the details come from court records, indictments, and the parts of these cases that headlines usually flatten. In this one, the most important detail wasn't that the crew wanted Bitcoin. It's that, according to prosecutors, when the digital route failed, they allegedly kept going until the crime became physical. Screen to street. That's the real story.